Okay, moving on to lesson 21. It's the average. So let's say that you had 5 test scores and you wanted to find their average. What would you need to do? You'd need to add them up and then divide by 5 because that's the total number of numbers you're averaging. So on page 74, it says find the average of 1,765, 93, 742, and this really weird number, 21,050. So clearly that 21,050 doesn't go with it, but if we're averaging all of these, we have to count it in there. So I'm just going to line them up, 1,765, 93, 742, 21,050. Okay, if we add straight down, 5 and 3 is 8 and 2 is 10, carry a 1. 1 and 6 is 7, and 9 is 16, and 4 is 20, and 5 is 25. So 2 and 7 is 9, and 7 is 16. 1 and 1 is 2, and 1 is 3. So we get 23,650 for the sum. Now we take that sum and we divide it by the number of numbers we had, which was 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to divide this by 4. So 4 doesn't go into 2. 4 goes into 23 5 times. Subtract and bring down the next number. So how many times does 4 go into 36? 9 times. No remainder there, so we bring down the 5. How many times does 4 go into 5? Once. And how many times does 4 go into 8? 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. There's a decimal point here at the end. There's nothing that tells us to move it, so then we'll have a 0 here. Okay, so I can't even read my own writing. Oh, 1 and 0, so we have a remainder of 2 and a 0. How many times does 4 go into 20? That's right, 5. So bring the decimal straight up. And then 4 goes into 20 5 times. All right, so average. Add all of your numbers up, divide by the number of numbers. The next one says find the average of find the average of 8, 17, 14, 10, 18, 6, 13, and 12. And let's count the numbers so we'll know what we're going to divide by. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after we add all these up, we're going to divide by 8 to find out what the average is. Okay, so let's see if you can look for some patterns here. 17 and 13 would be 30. 18 and 12 would be 30. There's a 10. 14 and 6 would be 20. Then what do we have left? 18. 10 plus 8 is 18. So if we add those, we get 8. 3, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10. Divided by 8. So 8 goes into 10 once. 2 left off there. So 8 goes into 28 how many times? 8 goes into 28 3 times. Subtract, we have 4. Add a decimal point. Now, how many times does 8 go into 40? What did I do? I must have added wrong because I'm not getting the same answer that they got. Okay, let's see. Maybe I didn't copy the numbers down right. 8, 17, 14, 10, 18, 6, 13, and 12. Okay, let's try again. That's 25. That's 24. That's 24. And that's 25. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 9 and 4 is 13 and 5 is 18. 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. So 98 divided by 8. 8 goes in there once. How many times is it going to 18? Twice. Okay, how many times is 8 going to 20? Bring this decimal straight up here. Goes in there twice, right? 2 times 8 is 16, and then we subtract. We have 4, bring down the next 0, so it would go in there evenly at 12.25. Okay, the last one in this lesson is a little bit weird. It says the average of 4 numbers is 10. 3 of the 4 numbers are 2, 14, and 7. So 2, oof, that looks awful, plus 14 plus 7. Okay. Plus, there's another number that we don't know. And how much is that going to be equal to? If the average of 4 numbers is 10, then it doesn't really matter what the numbers are, but the sum of all of those 4 numbers has to be 4 times the average, which is 10. So 4 times 10 is what goes right here, 40. So if they tell you what the average of a certain number of numbers is, the first thing you need to do is multiply those two numbers, the average times however many numbers it's averaging. And then you can set it up something like this. So if we add 2 and 14, that's 16, and 7 is 23. And then to find out what x is, we need to subtract 23. So x is going to be equal to 17. Okay. So for example, in the homework in lesson 21, it says, let's see, I'm looking for something that has a 21 on it. The average cost of 5 items is $316.05. This is number 7. So the first thing you're going to do is multiply the 5 times the average. So 316.05 multiplied times 5, because I told you that's how many items there are, is 5. So 5 times 5 is 25, 2, 30, 8, 15. Okay, move the decimal over 1, 2, so 1, 2. Okay, so that's the sum of the first 4. Or that's the sum of all 5, sorry. Then they give us the first 4. So we have to find these added up. Let's see, 1580.25. So 1580.25 is going to be equal to 4820 plus 4060. I'll just line them up like this. Plus 6375 and $70.15. So if we add those up, that'll give us the right-hand side of the equation, plus we'll have to add an x to it because that's for the other number. 5 and 5 is 10, 2 and 7 is 9, and 6 is 15, 17. Bring the decimal straight down. And we're carrying a 1 here, so 9 and 3 is 12. Carry a 1, 5 and 4 is 9, and 6 is 15, and 7 is 222. So now we have 1580.25 is equal to 222.70 plus x, because we don't know what the last number is. What is this? Okay. So now I'm going to subtract 222.70. That's 5. 12 minus 7 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 minus 2 is 5. 3, 1. So that should be what the last test score has, or last item has to be. I'm going to check that in the back of the book because that's a pretty big number to go along with those. And this is lesson 21. 21. One, 3, 5, 7, 55. Okay, so that's correct. So that was, remember that was number 7 on your homework. So you can just copy that one down for number 7. And that's all of lesson 21. I think I'm going to stop the video there because that was kind of a long video. So I'll put this